Okay, I know that our participants are starting to come into the webinar, but I do want us to go ahead and get started today because I know Layne's presentation is fantastic and it's a little lengthier than some of our webinars. And so I do want to make sure that we get as much time as possible. Thank you so much for coming today to our January Family Focused webinar presented by Region 10 and Partners Resource Network. Before we get started, I just want to share a couple of things about SpedTex, and Jim Wright is here from Partners Resource Network, and he's going to share just a little bit about PRN and what they do. On the screen right now, we do have some information about SpedTex, the Special Education Information Center. This is a fantastic resource that is available to families and educators here in Texas to answer all of your questions about special education. In addition to the website that has a wealth of resources, we also have consultants that are available during business hours to answer questions live via phone or via chat. You can also email SpedTex if you have questions. So I think we are ready for Jim to talk about PRN. And while he's talking, I am going to drop the link to our slides today in the chat for everyone.
Thanks for everybody for being here today. Layne's definitely one of my favorite speakers to listen to. Partners Resource Network is Texas's PTI. It's a Parent Training Information Center. In the IDA law, every state is required to have at least one PTI. Texas is so large, we have 4 projects, but Partners Resource Network covers all of them. Also, all of our coordinators, which I am of Region 10, is that we all have children with disabilities. So we understand the path that you're on and the struggles that you go through. You're welcome to reach out to us to have a one-on-one consultations. We do webinars, in-person workshops, and we do support family members as far as if you get like a new diagnosis or something that's not quite going right. And all of our services are free and we're funded by the Department of Education. Thank you.
Okay, Layne, it is all
right.
you.
My turn, huh? Well, welcome everybody and good afternoon, I guess it is now. I am going to squeeze in about 25 minutes, a whole lot of information. Please understand in this handout that you will receive, I put a lot of stuff in there just for you to look at. And if you have any questions afterwards, always feel free to email me with any questions you have. I will do my absolute best to get this done in about 25 minutes. And whatever we leave out or leave off, as you get the handout and you see it, and you're like, oh, I want to know more about that. Like I said, shoot me an email and I'll get you whatever information you need. I have lots of parents who got me on speed dial when they got questions on things, or I get emailed by parents usually every day on things that they need help with or questions on. So please don't ever feel bad if you have to. Just send me your name and information you're looking for, and I'll do my very best to help you out. So real quick, what we're going to do is I really want parents, and this is a training I put together about 1.5 years ago or a year ago, and it's just as valid today as it was then. I really am doing a lot of work with parents on how you are the key to your child's future and success. Parents hold that key. Problem is nowadays what I see a lot of is parents being told that this person holds the key, that person holds the key, these others hold the key, and everybody's got a key. Well, everybody's there to help you with your key, but ultimately it is you that holds that key. And the thing if I tell parents is, my background is all in the last 20 years is very deep into the brain research side of things and what our children's brains need for learning, for behavior, for social emotional well-being, for good mental health, for just overall success in life. And I do my best as often as I can to share that with our families. And so that's my information right there. That's my email. So when you get it, use it if you need to. I do a lot of traveling in the region and around the state. So sometimes if I don't get back to you in a day or so, please just re-email me. Some people I know will put all capital letters like they're yelling at me in an email if they're trying to get my attention. So do what you got to do. It actually brings a smile to my face and makes me laugh sometimes because my ADD kicks in a lot and I kind of get absent-minded. So feel free to do what you got to do if you need my help. So here's what I'll tell people. This is one of my favorite quotes when I'm working with parents. Parents, I don't know if you've ever been told, and I wish this was something we could get instilled, that when you've had your child, before you leave that hospital, you get told a massive amount of things that are beneficial to your child. I tell people a lot of the information I'm going to share with you today is information I wished you had the day before you left the hospital with your child, when they were first born. And so it's a great quote. It's something I want parents to hold on to, that, you know, deeply loving parents would change the brain of the next generation, and with that, the world. Parents, it is us. I'm a parent. I'm now a step parent. And so I raised my own two kiddos. I was a single dad, and now I have three step kiddos I'm raising. And so it's a good mix to go back, and keeps me grounded to where I was and what I need to do, and how it's different nowadays than it was when I raised my first two kiddos. And so I tell parents this: we as parents have to remember that we can't forget that we need to be connected to our child before we direct our child. A lot of times we get wrapped up in life and get busy with life. It's like, go do this, go do that. And there's no connection piece there. And a lot of that starts causing this divide. It's an attachment issue eventually with some of our kids. So just remember, make sure there's a connection with your child before you start giving direction. So our time together, I'm going to talk about what we can do for your kiddos, and with your kiddos. A lot of times everybody's like telling you what to do to your kids. And I get frustrated when we have that mentality. We got to do this to kids. We got kids, you know, we have to do this. Well, no, we need to do it for them and with them, especially with. It's important that we do things with them also, not just you do this and watch them do it. We, especially as they are very young, need to do it alongside of them. So I don't have a whole lot of time for this activity, but I'm going to put it in there in case you want to do it anyways. On a sheet of paper, anywhere you got, if you got something to write with, write on, doesn't matter, it's a sheet of paper. I always have paper at my desk. I want you to take a second. I want you to think of all the titles that would describe you to people. So for example, for me, I'm a dad, teacher, I'm a consultant, I'm a hockey player. So all the things that you do that would be a title that would describe you, just take about 30 seconds and just think about them. And what I want you to do is, as I continue to talk, just jot down some of the things that come to your mind. So it's kind of an activity you can work on as we go along with this. Because there's some things that I talk to parents about. What I want you to do is, when you get that list of titles for yourself, look at how many of those titles represent you as your work life and represent you as the things you love to do. If your titles that represent you as a parent in your work life is a long list, and the things that you love to do, like I mentioned, I play hockey, drawing, playing the drums, all those things that I like to do, if that list is shorter than the other list, you might have an imbalance in life. And I tell parents, sometimes we hold these other titles too heavy and forget the titles that make us happy, that bring us joy, the things that we like to do. Because I'm going to break it to you. You can't give up the things you like to do because of your kids. You actually have to keep them so you're better for your kids. So that's just something to look at when you look at the titles that you start listing for yourselves. This is a lot of typing, a lot of things for you to read, but basically what this all says is your child's level of cooperation is related highly to how connected your child feels to you. This is an interesting topic, especially with educators, and I do a lot of this with teachers, but when it comes to parents, if our children are not very cooperative and they're doing the things we're asking them to do, and they're kind of not listening, and they don't do what we ask, that relates more to how connected, or that connection between you and your child, how strong it is. And sometimes when I help families, and when I help work with families, I work with several families right now with them and their kiddos, and I'm working with the mom and the dad or whatever family member on how to build that connection with their child again. How do you bring that connection together? Because the stronger that connection with your child, then that cooperation and that kind of harmony with you comes in place. And so the brain research on that is really cool stuff right now. So I'm going to leave this to you guys. I'm just going to go past this stuff because it's adolescents and children. But basically what I'll tell you is a lot from the last few years, we're seeing how it's affecting our young kids, birth to 9. It's affected a lot of things. You can see some of the areas that have been affected right here on this slide. But the big change is a lot of our kiddos who were born in the last 3 years, or let's say the last 5 years. What happened is when all the COVID and everything else that came down in the last few years came in, all that extra stress that we carried in society did affect our kids. Those neurons that are meant for language and building my cognitive abilities in my brain and building this world of who I am, a lot of those neurons in the first few years of life got reallocated to my limbic system, which is my emotional system. Because of all the extra stress coming in from the world, my emotional system needed more support. So a lot of those neurons meant to help me with language and reasoning and thinking, they kind of went to a different place. So we're finding out that a lot of our kiddos who are very young, let's say birth to age 9, are coming into schools and coming into this world with some language issues and some issues with how to process things a little bit. And that's an interesting thing to look at as a parent too, because there's a lot of things we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, which you can do at home to help bring that back or help build those areas of the brain again. And so adolescents, the concern we have mostly with adolescents is a lot of our adolescents spent a lot of time holed up in their rooms. We call them the cellar dwellers. They didn't get out. They stayed inside. They kind of relied on like things like YouTube and TikTok to get their information, which is, parents, between you and I right now, absolutely two of the most horrific things to get information off of is TikTok and YouTube. Your adolescent child, and adolescence is actually age 10 to about 22. But it's 19 in here because that's around where we end up graduating and going off to college. But there's a lot of things that they miss because the frontal lobe, this whole front part here, is under huge development in that age level. And my emotional brain takes over. So all the things I'm seeing, all the things I saw, all the concerns the world had about COVID and all the things that happened in our country, that comes through the emotional brain, and it kind of keeps some of these emotions. The memories are stored in the lower part of the brain, which just reacts. And so that's when sometimes I get very reactive and my stress and my anxiety goes up. We're seeing higher levels of depression in our adolescents. And unfortunately, it's a hard topic to talk about, but it's one we need to. We're seeing a lot of increase in suicidal tendencies and ideations with some of our adolescents too. It's because that processing of everything that went on hit the emotional part of the brain. And if my parents didn't help me kind of work through it and talk about it on a regular basis, it sits there. And it's very difficult for them to process it alone. And so some things to consider with our adolescents, there's some stuff you can read in here that's really pretty cool. There is something else that we got to talk about too. We are what we eat. I actually just finished reading an article literally 20 minutes ago about more research on the gut-brain axis. And we are finding out more and more the diets we have, especially in the United States of America. Our children in the United States have the worst diets of any other kids in the world. And all those processed foods and all those chemicals that we're ingesting actually has a big effect on my stress, my anxiety, my mood, and my behavior. They're actually looking at how simple dietary changes actually can affect my mood and behavior to the extent that I won't need medication, or I can be off medication and be off therapies. But the problem is we're so bombarded with this in our society, it's very hard to get away from. But Duke University's got amazing research on this. I have some videos, parents, if you're interested in, so just let me know. But one of the things I'll tell parents is it's daunting to change the diet of your child. Not impossible, just daunting. And so I tell people, do it small and do it little by little. If you ever want any advice on this, please contact me. I have lots of families I'm currently helping on dietary issues too. So we're finding that sometimes some of the simple changes in a diet have a dramatic effect on overall mood, behavior, anxiety, and depression. Depression is now being linked to our dietary intake too. It's a lot of other things also, but if we can change something, diet's something we can change immediately for our kids and work on right away. So I put this in here. This is for you to read just because in lieu of time, but I thought it was important for parents. It's a little bit of a reminder to us as parents about it's all about the crazy. And it's, I love this title because I tell people you got to light up crazy with your kids. And so in order to be developed normally, and Bronfenbrenner is one of my favorite kind of theorists that's out there. He's the one who started Head Start. Um, child requires you to be more active with them and just be irrational and joke with them and laugh with them and be excited that they're around. And it does something for our mental health, and it does something for our brain development when we see people around us are crazy about us and they act crazy and they light up when we show up. And think about yourselves too. Think about you when you've seen someone you haven't seen for a while and you see them and they get so excited that you're there. How does that make you feel? Now imagine parents. What we found out in the brain research is every time parents act like that when they see their kids, even if you've only been apart for 20 minutes, they get that feeling, and that feeling of that happiness, that joy, and it has such a mental health benefit to our kids. So it's all about the crazy. So light up crazy when you see your kids. So there's a lot in here you can read on your own. Take a look at it. If you want more information, just let me know. So the big part of this is, and the big part that I talk to parents, you have to excuse me, my allergies are not the best. What can we do for our kids? And parents, this is very important to me. And I'll preface this right now also, parents, that it doesn't matter if your child is a newborn or if your child is 22. All of this stuff is vital for brain development, brain strengthening, my mental health, my overall mood, and my resiliency, and actually most of all my academics. A lot of people, especially kiddos who struggle academically, our answer right now, especially in this country, is to just throw more academics at them. It's actually not the best way to do it. I need a buildup. My brain needs to get stronger. My brain needs to strengthen itself in certain areas so I can lift the weights of academics. And a lot of the things we're going to talk about from here out to them done in about 10 minutes is those very things we can do as parents. I talk to schools get the same information, but parents, you hold the key to this. You are the number one people in your child's life to do these things and do them as often as you can. And so laughter is the first one. It was one of the most amazing things for the human body, not just physically, but mentally. There's a chemical cocktail that gets mixed up when you laugh it has such a huge benefit to the body because it's got things like oxytocin, dopamine, adrenaline, endorphins, and all kinds of things in that cocktail that is a huge benefit to physically our health, but mostly mentally our health. And so the laughter thing, I tell parents, just laugh as often as you can, tell bad dad jokes, do something to laugh and enjoy the time with your kids. I will tell you right now, in the last 5 years especially, it's probably the one thing I don't see near enough in our country especially. We need to start laughing a little more, not take ourselves so seriously, and just laugh and enjoy. I have a lot more information on this, so just let me know if you're interested in that also. There are brain exercises. So for, I don't know, the past 10 years, I've been involved in brain research on brain exercises. Remember how I said making my academics better by just throwing more academics at me is really not a good way to do it? It's because my brain is weak and it can't take in that information and process it. It's not strong enough to hold it. So these are activities and exercises that we can do. They take 10 seconds at a time, that every time you do them with your kiddo, it strengthens that brain. It takes it to the gym. And the stronger my brain, the better I'm apt to pull in information and process it better, hold on to it, and connect it to other learning. And so it also is good for my limbic system and my behavior, my emotions, my emotional regulation, all kinds of stuff. And so we're going to try a couple real quick because I know we don't have a whole lot of time. There's a write-up on how to do them when you get them at home. What I will do is when I send this information, I'll also attach a strong brain starter kit for parents that you can do. It's a bunch of these activities you can do at home. It explains how to do them. They're super easy and they're fun. That's the kick. And they only take like 10 seconds to get the workout for the brain. And so the first one I have is I bet you can't do this. So I want you to put your right hand out with your index finger pointing. I mean, I hope you can see this in the screen. I'm doing my best to stay in my camera view. I want you to rotate your index finger clockwise. As you're rotating your index finger clockwise, I want you to rotate your wrist counterclockwise. And I want you to attempt that for about 10 seconds. Oh, see, I even switched. Now you can stop. If I was to scan your brain, it'd be lit up like a Christmas tree. We just took your brain to the gym. So there's a bunch of these. I put a whole bunch in here for you. I explained some of them for you. There's a flip out activity, tells you what you can do with your kiddos. Balance activities, anything for balance is awesome for the brain. So these are things you can do every day at home with your kiddos. I can send the starter kit if you're interested. So you have the starter kit that you can do. There's these activities, and I think probably about 10 more in the starter kit. Do these for 10 seconds as often as you can through the day. And every time you do them, you're taking your child's brain to the gym. Oh, wait, and you're taking yours too if you do it with them, which means your brain gets stronger also, which is, as adults, we really got to be aware of how we deal with our brains. And so here's what I need parents to do. There's nothing else in this world I can get parents to do. It's the big three. The big three, when your kids are at home and your kids are there with you, these are the biggest three things we can do for brain development, brain strengthening, overall mental health, and just overall academic and behavior outcomes for our kids. So you ready? The first one is easy. It's play. Play, 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 play. It's actually the number one thing for brain development in children that we know of today. The more I play, the stronger and healthier my brain will be. Not to mention, there's just a few things on this list right here that tell you the benefits of play. The list is actually almost exhaustive. There's probably about 50 or 60 things we can look at in regards to what the brain does on play. I also do a whole training on just play and brain research for teachers and educators and parents. And it's amazing what play does. And we're finding out more and more that the more children play, the better the academic outcomes. Parents, I'll tell you, this includes free play, which is your kid just playing on their own, no adult interference. They do their own thing, but it also includes guided play, which is you playing with them, playing a game, building things with them, doing puzzles with them, things like that. So it involves both types of play. So have fun, enjoy, and play. The next one of my favorites, is nature. Being outside in nature is absolutely vital to all of us. And just so you know, nature immediately lowers your stress and enhances your mood as soon as you step outside. It has a long-term effect on our mental health if we're outside a lot. It actually helps quiet the areas of the brain, and it's a good, how do I say, supplemental to depression therapies. Being outside is very helpful to the parts of the brain that depression does affect. It actually helps with learning and working memory and our short-term memory. Problem is those numbers at the bottom, the 1440 is just the number of minutes in 24 hours. 210 minutes is the recommended rate for school-age kids to be outside every day, 3.5 hours. That's the recommended rate to get the brain benefit we need from being outside. Problem is, if you look at the smallest number, 72, that's the average amount of time school-age kids in the United States are spending outside. 72 minutes. It's about a third of what's needed for proper brain development and strengthening. Adults, we should be outside about 150 minutes a day to keep our brain maintained. Parents, got some good news. Some of the brain research we conducted, some of the information we got back from the doctors and neurologists who are part of the brain research, found out that 20 minutes of outside walking around is equivalent to those kiddos with ADD, ADHD to taking their medication. So there's something we found out through the research also. So just some information on nature, vitally important. Socialization and talking. Your kids need to be out in the world. Your kids need to be out amongst other people in order to have healthy, strong brains. We're finding out that people who are very social actually have a protective agent that actually protects them from a lot of cognitive impairment and dementia later on in life. And so our brains are social organs. So take it out and let it be social. Introduce your kids to new people, new cultures, new places, new things. The benefits of that go way beyond just brain strengthening. It goes into the social world, and it goes into the social dynamics that we have into. The more we can get out and see people and greet people and recognize differences and accept differences, it's just a massive support for your child's brain. So there's the big three. Parents, I put resilience. We want our kids to be resilient through life. Here's 8 ways to build it in children that you can work on at home. They do have to experience sadness and failure. You can't bubble wrap them and protect them. That is absolutely a detriment to their development. Our kids have to learn how to fail, how to be uncomfortable. We as parents have to help them through it and teach them the proper ways to deal with it. So there's a lot of things in there to help build resiliency. I put them in there just for your information. Remember, and I say this to parents as I wrap this up with you guys, we need to stop trying to have our kids fit in. We need our kids to fit in. We want them to fit in. It's funny how I hear people, oh, I want my child to be an individual, but they have to fit in. Well, you don't get either way. It's not about fitting your kids in or your kids fitting in. It's about finding the right fit in life for them. And I tell people what makes us weird also makes us wonderful. And what makes us weak also makes us strong. What we find out is a lot of our kids with ADD, ADHD, and autism, the skills that we perceive when they're young as weaknesses, actually, as they get older, can be a huge benefit to their success. So there's a lot of things to consider, parents. Your child is your child. They're an individual. There's no other human being on the earth quite like them. So stop making them be like other individuals. They are who they are. Support them, give them the skills, give them the help they need. Look at where they need some guidance from us, and let's get busy. So there's a few things, something about me, in case you haven't figured it out. I'm neither a glass is half full nor half empty. It's always refillable. And this is important, parents, for you. When your glass starts to diminish, you got to find something to fill it up. And it's not your children. What you need to find is you need to find your hobbies, the things you love, and go do some of that to refill so you're full for your kids. So just some advice, just to give along to you. I got some resources for you to read and take a look at, to use. Some of these websites are awesome. There's some books here, some of my favorites that if you're a parent, they're fun to read. They're good to get information on kids, especially the top one, Kids These Days. Oh, that's a great read if you're a parent. So lots of information for you. I know I've gone through a ton of stuff, and I have absolutely, for the first time in my life, done this in the time I'm supposed to, and it's kind of freaking me out. So
Layne, that was amazing. Thank
I'm
you
like,
so
holy
much.
man, this is a first.
That was like a crash course. So much information packed in there.
Yeah.
Everyone,
So there's, I
I
tell
do
people
want
there's
you to
my
know we
titles
did
there. So
recorded the webinar, and so we will have this available on the Region 10 YouTube channel. It takes about a week or two for all of that to get loaded on there, but rest assured you can go back and rewatch to get all of this information that Layne shared with us. I am getting ready to launch a poll that has some questions we would love to have you answer for us before you leave here today.
oh sure.
I'm also going to share another link in the chat, and this is for our February webinar that is coming up on February 12th, I believe. Hold on, let me pull up the form again. February 8th. From 12 o'clock to 12:30, our next webinar is about accommodations and modifications, and especially how those relate to STAR testing. So that link to the flyer also has all of the registration links included there for you.
Well, all right.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah, I love your comment about refilling the cup. And
Yeah.
if you ever find this box everybody keeps saying that I'm supposed to be inside of or outside of it, you let me know where that box is at.
Yeah, because I'm going to go burn it down because I don't want to be in it. Yep.
So much great information for parents to take away. I know I learned a lot
Oh, I
in
got the
the
East
last 30
Chambers,
minutes,
folks.
and I was scribbling things down to take home and do with my kids too. So thank
Yeah, well,
you.
the one thing I didn't tackle in here, and I'll just tell everybody real quick, was screen time. It would have went way over if I tackled screen time. So that's for another time, another day, another world. So
Maybe we'll bring you back next year to do just a webinar on that.
I tell you. So, oh, my East Chambers family are in the house. Hey. It's nice to hear from old friends. So, but y'all, thank you very much. I appreciate it a lot. Anytime I can talk to parents is always awesome.
Thank you. We hope we see everyone here next month.
Bye, everybody.